I just got contacted by the West Valley shelter, and they said they have a dog that they're not really sure what to label him as. They say he could be a Chihuahua mix, but whatever he is, they say he's extremely timid with new people. So I'm gonna go rescue him, show him a little TLC, and maybe I can find him a forever home.
But it may take more than TLC to break 1-year-old Shadow out of his shell.
Hey, little man. You scared? Come over here. You're gonna make me come in there, aren't you? All right, you win. I'll come to you, don't worry. Come here, come here, come here, come here, I know. Timid, aren't you?
Brandon hopes a trip out of the shelter will brighten Shadow's spirits. But the car ride only raises more questions.
Okay. On the car ride home, I noticed that Shadow really didn't pick his head up the whole time. Looks like he really has no energy, no interest in much. I couldn't even get his attention.
Because Shadow was given a clean bill of health, Brandon suspects the issue is emotional.
I think he has no trust in people. A lot of these dogs, they get bounced around from shelter to shelter, and they've learned not to trust.
You're not feeling it, are you?
Once inside, Brandon tries a new tactic.
You want that? He really had no interest in anything I offered him. I was petting him. He really didn't care. He said no to food. This right here is a trust issue. You don't trust me yet, do you? Before I start any training, I have to earn his trust. I have to show him that I'm his friend, not his enemy.
Because there's no timetable on building trust, Brandon decides to forego training in favor of some good old-fashioned bonding.
One of the biggest mistakes you can do as a dog trainer is start training a dog before they have any trust in you. It might take a while, but whatever it takes, ride it out, because when you do start training, it makes everything so much easier.
While Shadow learns to re-engage with the world, Brandon takes the opportunity to line up a forever home. His search leads him to Gary, a retiree facing his own life change.
I'd like to have a dog for company. I'm 74 years old, been retired for 14 years, and I'm living alone for the first time in my life. My wife and I have been married for 50 years. 3 months ago, I found it necessary to place my wife in a memory care center as a result of Alzheimer's, and I find it pretty lonely at home.
Gary maintains an active lifestyle, filling his time with cycling and fused glass projects. But he's hoping a dog will provide extra companionship at home and on his daily walks through the retirement community.
One of the social outlets is people walking their dogs and meeting each other, and I would look forward to having Shadow do that with me.
Look.
But if Shadow is going on any outings,
Shadow.
he'll need to overcome his social anxiety.
Day after day, I would wait Shadow out. And then, out of nowhere, we had the breakthrough moment.
Hello there.
He allowed me to pick him up.
Well, thank you. Well, been waiting a long time for one of those.
With their bond officially sealed with a kiss, Shadow earns his red training collar.
Try this on. There. It's official. It's time to start training.
Having embraced life at the ranch,
Morning, guys. Morning, morning, morning.
Shadow enjoys playtime with his new pals.
Go on. Go play. Make friends. Welcome to Lucky Dog Ranch.
His future is looking bright, but there's still work to do.
Come here. The first thing I'm going to assess with Shadow is his knowledge of the 7 common commands, which are sit, stay, down, come, off, heel, and no. Sit. Good. That's a sit. Perfect. You go down. You go down. Oh, good. That's a down. He's got a pretty good foundation.
Yeah, a little sloppy, but not bad.
He might have been well trained and just regressed, or he might have been so-so trained. Either way, we're off to a great start.
Not only that, Brandon is impressed by Shadow's laser focus and his stellar etiquette.
You crawl on people? I will say one thing, you're a very well-mannered dog.
Over the next week, Brandon will refine Shadow's grasp of the common commands. But it's his trust issues that still pose the greatest challenge.
My ultimate goal now is to teach Shadow to trust anybody.
Coming up, a visit from Gary
I'd like a dog I could take over to the care center.
forces Shadow out of his comfort zone.
Things that Shadow will be exposed to are much different than everyday life. Shadow is a timid dog.
Here's a health and wellness tip from Banfield Pet Hospital. We work hard to keep our pets healthy. But did you know that owning a pet actually has health benefits? Studies have shown that having a pet can lower blood pressure, ease symptoms of depression, reduce bone loss, and increase blood circulation. Walking a dog can also help promote weight loss and keep seniors physically active.
You don't trust me yet, do you?
Shadow, the one-year-old Chihuahua mix, has a serious case of trust issues. Though he eventually let his guard down with Brandon,
Been waiting a long time for one of those.
there's no certainty that he'll do the same for his potential owner, Gary. Luckily, Brandon knows the best way to a dog's heart is through its nose.
Dogs, they use their nose for everything. That's how they shake hands. I decided to go for an old technique. I call it positive scent association. I have the new potential owner, Gary, wear a t-shirt for a couple days. And what this does, it gets his scent all over the t-shirt.
Gary drops the shirt off at the ranch, giving Brandon some time to get to know him better.
You ever had a dog before?
You know, we had a dog when my son was smaller. He's 45 now, so it's probably been 20 years or 25 years since I've had a dog.
So why now?
I find myself in an unfortunate situation. My wife developed Alzheimer's, and about 3 months ago I found it necessary to find a placement for her. So I'm finding living alone is kind of tough. And I'd like to have a dog that I could have around the house for some comfort, and I'd like a dog I could take over to the care center.
Tell me about the memory care unit.
My wife is in a wing that has about 32 people in it. People bring in their dogs from time to time. It's interesting that that dog will connect, and the people will connect with the dog sometimes when they are not talking at all. My wife doesn't talk a lot, but she does respond to certain stimuli, and I see people bring in dogs, and small children, interestingly enough, are the two things that many of these people respond to when they're not responding to other adults.
Memory care units are unpredictable environments. A lot of moving objects, wheelchairs, walkers. Shadow is a timid dog. I can't be sure that he'll feel comfortable in that type of environment. How about your wife? Does she like dogs?
We've had pets in the past, and she always liked them. And I showed my wife the pictures that you sent me of Shadow, and she smiled. And I don't get a lot of smiles, so I'm encouraged by that.
I see how important it is to Gary to make his wife happy, so that makes it that much more important to me to pull Shadow out of his shell. The one thing I noticed about Shadow right away was he's unsure of new people. He doesn't take to them very quickly. It takes a while, and that's where this t-shirt comes in. Your scent is on that t-shirt. And when he finally meets you, he makes the connection that you are a positive person. You're the person he's supposed to be with. I'll train him in it. He can sleep with it. He can play with it. Everything I do with that t-shirt will be 100% positive. It does have its limitations. It doesn't work on every dog. The question is, will it work on Shadow?
I'm certainly hopeful it will.
When it comes to dog training, there's never any guarantees of the results. In the case of Shadow, I have to form a mutual trust between us and then transfer that trust from myself to Gary. Can that trust be transferred? That's the big question here.
Coming up, one small step for a dog, one giant leap in training.
I need to be 100% convinced that Shadow can handle himself in a situation like this. Oh, there you go, nice.
Shadow, the one-year-old Chihuahua mix's training has been an exercise in trust.
Good boy.
Over time, Brandon has been able to earn Shadow's confidence. But bridging the gap between Shadow and Gary will take a token of good faith.
Shadow, come on. Dogs explore the world through their noses, so come here. I had Gary come to the ranch and bring me a shirt to start the positive scent association training.
It's a t-shirt. What does it mean, right? It means nothing to you right now, but trust me. It's all gonna make sense pretty soon.
Everything Shadow does from here on out at the Lucky Dog Ranch will be with that t-shirt. Whether he's sleeping, playing, whether he's eating, this t-shirt from here on out will be the dog's everything. So when he does meet Gary, he will have a positive experience. He'll trust him.
Get comfy. Trust me, you're gonna like this t-shirt pretty soon.
But Shadow also needs to feel comfy in a completely new environment.
Now that I know that Gary wants to take Shadow to see his wife in the memory care unit, that poses a whole new group of challenges for me. Things that Shadow will be exposed to in the memory care unit are much different than everyday life. Most likely, he'll be exposed to lots of wheelchairs, lots of walkers, lots of canes. I need to be 100% convinced that Shadow can handle himself in a situation like this.
This calls for a return trip to Meadowbrook.
So first things first, I grab a cane. I'm watching him the whole time, seeing his body posture. I always say the body posture tells the story of what the dog is thinking. He doesn't even get fazed by it.
There you go. Good boy. Good.
Test 1 complete.
Okay.
So the second part of this test, I had a resident of the facility help me out. She grabbed a walker, and I had her stand about 10 feet back and simply walk towards him with the walker. I'm keeping an eye on him. What is he doing? What is he thinking? If I see any hesitation at all, I have to deal with it right now. But I see nothing. He pretty much stands his ground and simply moves out of the way as she walks by. Test 2 complete.
But the true test is about to roll in.
I've tested a lot of dogs over the years around wheelchairs, and half the dogs, they don't react very well. It's a scary object. The wheelchair moves closer, and then closer. I'm watching his body posture, keeping a close eye on the leash. Is it tightening up? Is there tension? Do I see him getting anxious? He simply stands his ground.
It's a surprising reaction for such a naturally cautious dog.
I gotta admit, Shadow made it easy for me. But there's still one more final piece of the puzzle that needs to be completed.
Okay, come on.
How's he gonna react when he meets Gary and Marcia?
Coming up, a moment of truth arrives.
It's either gonna go really well or really bad.
So Gary, what I want you to do is just put your hand out, let him sniff you.
Here's a health and wellness tip from Banfield Pet Hospital. If you're planning to introduce a new baby or pet into a household with an existing dog, then try using scent to your advantage. Bring home a blanket or piece of clothing that holds the new family member's scent and introduce it to your current canine companion. This will give your faithful friend some time to acclimate to the change, and it could result in a smoother transition. Shadow, the cautious Chihuahua mix, is slow to trust new people. But by using positive scent association, Brandon has been building Shadow's trust in new owner Gary, a man Shadow has never met.
Come here.
Throughout the week, Gary's shirt has been by Shadow's side. During training,
Good.
at dinner time, when taking naps, and even while on road trips with Brandon. But will it be enough to inspire Shadow's confidence?
Today's the day to see if all the work I've done with Shadow and the shirt has finally paid off. I'm bringing Shadow over to Gary's house so they can meet each other for the first time. And it's either gonna go really well or really bad.
Oh, Brandon. Hello.
Gary.
This must be Shadow.
It's Shadow.
Usually when a family meets a dog for the first time, they can pet the dog and hug it and do whatever they want. But in the case of Shadow and Gary, it's a little bit different.
This union requires a more formal introduction.
Shadow doesn't realize that he's right in front of one of the most positive experiences he's ever had. He just has to simply make the connection between his nose and the scent.
So Gary, what I want you to do is just put your hand out, let him sniff you. He needs to recognize your scent. It's gonna click in any minute.
He knows your scent. He's been smelling it for a long time now. He just has to make the connection. At first, Shadow was simply looking at me. He wasn't relying on his nose.
And then, the moment of recognition.
Hey there.
Shadow turned around and started kissing Gary right on the nose.
He did seem to recognize me, so I was excited about that. Good boy.
What took me a long time to gain Shadow's trust, it took Gary only minutes. Bet you didn't think a shirt could do that, huh?
I had no idea. No idea.
That's the power of a dog's nose.
With their bond officially sealed, Shadow upgrades to his green collar.
You want this? You want this? Come here. Get this off. There. You could be wearing that for quite a while. Don't worry, Gary. I didn't forget about you either.
Oh, my shirt.
It wasn't my size. You know what that is, huh, Shadow?
What's that, huh?
Yeah, you definitely know what that is.
Huh?
He's all yours now.
Right.
You want to go introduce him to your wife?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Come on.
Coming up, new memories are made when Lucky Dog returns.
Marcia, look at here.
Over the last week, Brandon has been working to overcome Shadow's lifetime of trust issues. He gave Gary his seal of approval, but there's still one connection he's yet to make.
Now that Shadow and Gary have bonded, it was time to go see Gary's wife.
Marcia, look at here. For the last few months, my wife's been very cautious around dogs, but she seemed relaxed with Shadow in her lap. What do you think of this, huh? Do you like holding the puppy?
When Gary placed Shadow in her lap, instantly she reached out and touched him, and that made Gary really happy.
Animals seem to relax people a lot, and I'm confident that that will continue to be the case with Marcia. She seemed really pleased.
So what do you think, Gary? You could take it from here?
I'm sure I can. I'm really excited about this puppy.
Well, Shadow, this is it. You look nice and comfortable, so I think I'll say a quick goodbye. See you later, Shadow. Take care, buddy. Take care of him, Gary.
Thank you, thank you.
Bye, Marcia. I might have been the first person in Shadow's life that he truly trusted. And through me, I could be the bridge and show him that everybody else in the world can be trusted too. Now Gary is that bridge.
And together, they'll make new memories.
Oh, Shadow's delightful. My life will really be different now that I have Shadow.
From hopeless to a home. That's my mission. One dog at a time.